What's good, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of In the Loop, Out the Mix. I'm your host, Jace 2 Cents, and I can't even hold y'all. I can't hold y'all. I am glad to be back. I'm happy to be back. I took a break last week because, in all honesty, I was feeling kind of discouraged. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. Like just having some conversations with my friends about the pod and where I was going and things that I can improve on, and I just took last week to make those changes. If you couldn't already tell, this week we're talking about how your ego is holding you back. My ego, too. All of our egos are holding us back, y'all. And I found it so crazy that when I Googled the definition of ego, like, not even Google could give me a straightforward answer. Then I went on YouTube to try and find a definition of ego. And the people on YouTube couldn't even agree on what the answer, like what the definition of ego is. So, from my little, hour or so deep dive onto YouTube and Google, the definition of ego that comes across as the most sound, I guess, to me, is I statements. From what I've gathered, your ego is your sense of self. So, how you think of yourself, how you speak of yourself in your mind, the things that you tell yourself are ego. Examples of this could be I am a man. That's ego. Believe it or not, that's ego from what I've gathered. Remember, I almost forgot to give my disclaimer, y'all. I'm just a guy with an opinion, so please take everything I say with a giant grain of salt. Now let's get back to what we were talking about. Ego, from what I've gathered, is I statements. So, I am a man is an example of how you identify in your head. That can be an example of ego. Another example of a definition of ego, I guess, is your ego is the part of you that compares yourself to others. So when you say, I'm better than this person, that's an example of ego. Or, this person is not as good as me in this area, that person looks better than that person. These are all different examples. I know it's very vague, but I kid you not. You could Google the definition yourself, and you're going to be just as confused as I was, all right? So I'm doing my best here. One of the channels that I came across that tried to break this down and, make it as simple as possible is Healthy Gamer, Dr. K. Shout out to them. I love watching Healthy Gamer. But Dr. K was basically saying that your ego exists as a defense mechanism. It exists to protect your sense of self. Remember, ego is I statements, how you identify yourself as in your head, how you think of yourself, how you see yourself. So your ego exists to protect that. And the best example that I could come up with of how that works is if you've ever asked somebody out, guy or girl, it doesn't matter. If you've ever asked someone out and gotten rejected, it's the part of you that goes, oh, I wasn't that interested in them anyway. Oh, they're not that cute. Um, I can do better. That's your ego. And those examples that I just gave are examples of how your ego exists to protect that sense of self. Because in reality, if we're still following that example I just gave, if that person had said yes, you wouldn't have gone, I wasn't that interested in them anyway. They're not that cute. Because why else did you ask them out? So, I was doing some thinking, and I kind of noticed how, while a healthy ego could most definitely bolster us forward and help us to achieve the things that we set out to achieve and do the things that we want to do, on the very close flip side of that, an unhealthy ego can start to hold us back. And an example of one way is how it can affect the stories we tell ourselves, how we see ourselves. So, someone like me, right? I grew up loving food. Like, I ate a lot of food as a jit. I put on a lot of weight. At my heaviest, if you followed the past few episodes, I was 300 pounds. And obviously, I'm not 300 pounds now. So, when I lost that weight, right? Part of my ego and how it holds me back is when I look in the mirror, sometimes I still see myself as the bigger version of me when I was 300 pounds. And I'll tell myself, like, damn, you looking kind of chunky, my boy. Like, even though, granted, when I go out in public And it happened to me last week. Like, I literally went out with my friends, went to this party, and people who I haven't seen in years are like, "Damn, bro, you looking good. You look like you in the gym. You on your shit." The unhealthy part of my ego is still looking in the mirror, going like, "Damn, bro, you're a slob, my boy." I know that's not the truth. I know that's not actually where I'm at. But it doesn't change the fact that that's still something that occurs in my brain when I look in that mirror. When I look in that mirror and I take my shirt off and I see the roles that are still there, even though there used to be more, I still can't separate who I was from who I am now. And having that prolonged view of myself eventually like takes its toll in the sense that it stops me from like being motivated. Like, because even though I have lost a bit of weight and I've kept a lot of it off, the bit that has come back, because I put on a little more. I put on a little more weight since I got my knee surgery and stuff, and my progress slowed down, things of that nature. It just takes that oomph. It takes that oomph out of me wanting to stay on top of my grind. Stay on the path of discipline and doing the hard work because of the negative self-talk. Following that, having that negative view of myself, having that negative self-talk, if you can relate with this, you also know how that unhealthy ego holds you back from taking risks. Like you, who's watching or listening, whichever you're doing. If you're watching on YouTube, shout out to you. Listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you a real one too. Think about a goal that you've had that you've been dreaming of accomplishing for so long, right? Like, really think about it. Close your eyes and think about it real quick. Why haven't you started it? Why haven't you taken any steps? I mean, like, literally the smallest steps. It could be whatever goal it is. Why haven't you taken any steps to get closer toward achieving that goal? If you're like me, it's probably because you're like, I'm not ready yet. I'm not good enough to do this yet. I'm not the right person for this yet. Now, of course, especially that last part, like if you feel like you're not the right person, I can understand that. So if you feel like you're not the right person, why haven't you taken steps toward becoming the right person? What's holding you back? It's probably yourself. It's probably the things that you tell yourself. It's probably how you see yourself. It might even be because your ego, the part of you that is trying to protect who you are right now, or who you think you are right now, is scared to see what life will be like if you actually follow through and complete that goal. Fear of success is just as real as the fear of failure, y'all. That's a real thing. Believe it or not. If you watched the first episode, you know that I put this pod off for 2 years. So much so to the point where so many people ask me like, yo, when are you going to start it? Yo, I was literally at Bible study one night and I was talking about how I was struggling with the pod, and one of the like brothers in the small group that I was in, he made a joke like, bro, ever since I met you, you've been talking about starting this pod, and everybody started laughing because it's like so true. We were talking about how when you get past something, you can look back and laugh at it, and we were just laughing at that, how it took me 2 years to start the pod. But that kind of reminds me of the saying about the tree, right? The best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. But if you're too far in your own way, you're going to give yourself literally any reason. Like, it might not even make sense, but any reason not to plant that tree. Another way in which our egos could be holding us back is admitting our wrongs. More specifically, apologizing. Now I know. Nobody likes to apologize nowadays. So much so that it kind of hurts. Like, you ever thought about that? Like, the reason why you prolong saying you're sorry to someone who you know you did wrong is because it kind of hurts. Because you have to sit with the, dang, like, I can't believe I was wrong. And now I have to own up to it. And now I have to apologize. It makes you feel bad, kind of, in a way. And the reason why so many people don't do it is because of ego. Like, I don't need to apologize to them. What I gotta apologize for? I don't need to feel sorry. Or, eh, they got what they deserved. Like, come on, bro. Yo, it kind of reminds me of how a few weeks ago we were having this contest at my job to see who could get the most people transferred into our gym for gym memberships, right? And me and the person who were going like who were head to head, neck and neck for winning the competition, we were having some friendly banter. And this man out of nowhere, I don't know what it was. To this day, I still don't know what it was I said that made him go uber try hard. But this man came out of nowhere and damn near doubled my freaking transfers in like 2-3 days. So we go back and forth, and it gets to the end. He wins. I ain't gonna lie. My man's he was going hard for them transfers. Salute to him. He was going hard for them transfers. And when I lost, in a moment of like frustration, right? A moment of not wanting to feel bad, rather than just accepting the fact that I lost a friendly competition, out of nowhere, I just said I made a sideways ass comment. I ain't gonna repeat what I said, but I made a sideways ass comment without even like in the heat of a moment realizing how like backwards that comment was, to the point where it got back to him, and then he felt some type of way, rightfully so. So manager, she pulls me aside and she's like, yo, I know you didn't mean it like this, but I can see how he took it this way. You're gonna have to go apologize to him, just for the like, if you really didn't mean it like that, just apologize for it. And I ain't gonna lie. I knew exactly where she was coming from. I was in the wrong. For sure I was in the wrong. But my ego. The second she said the word apologize, I'm like, apologize? Huh? What? For what? What did I do? That's someone who's guilty's favorite freaking question. What did I do? What did I do wrong? Come on, bro. You know what you did. I knew what I did. So it comes down to the next time I see him a few days later. The moment came. I was like, yo, can I talk to you to the side for a minute? And then I pulled him to the side and I literally told him, like, bro, I ain't even mean it this way, but I can see how it sounded like me being a hater, dog. In all honesty, dog, like, I wasn't trying to cut you down, this, down, the third. I gave him a real heartfelt apology. And we really have to normalize what a genuine apology is. Because, you got the people who will give you a half-ass, oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, dog. Sorry for what? Be specific. A good apology consists of, yo, this is what I did wrong. I ain't even mean to offend you. Or if you did mean to offend them, say like, yo, I'm sorry that I offended you. Like, a good apology is gonna hit it right on the nail. It's not gonna dance around, beat around the bush. You know what I'm saying? But it was hard, yo. It was hard. And then after I got everything off my chest, like, instantly, I could tell, like, him hearing me admit my wrongs and, basically falling on my sword, it just, like, put aside all that tension, because at the end of the day, we're all human. And I'm assuming that, like, in that moment, he realized the humane side of me, like, we're all human. We all gonna make mistakes. That's not a problem. The problem is when you make a mistake and you feel like you're too good to admit to that wrong. You know what I mean? When you feel like you're above making mistakes and everything you do is perfect, like you're God's gift to the earth, that's when it becomes a problem. And so after I apologized to him, he's like, yo, he basically said that he appreciated me, like, just being real and telling where I was coming from, because not a lot of people will do that nowadays. You got the people who will know they're wrong, and instead of admitting they're wrong, they'd rather be like, I don't need this person in my life anyway. I've almost done that a few times with a few people. I ain't gonna lie. Yo, hey, I'm only human. Yo. At least in each of those cases, I eventually admitted that I was wrong. And I'm still cool with all of those people to this day. But it's like, people don't like to admit when they're wrong, which is kind of crazy. There's nothing wrong with being wrong. Like I said, it's only a problem when you can't just own up to your mistakes. People like that are very dangerous, by the way. If you have any hotheads in your circle that always think they're right, do yourself a favor, get rid of them. Oh my gosh. Moving forward to my last point, I guess. Sometimes we just gotta tell our egos to shut up. Honestly, we just gotta tell our egos to shut up. Another thing that Dr. K was pointing out in his videos on ego is that our ego and ourselves are separate entities. We don't feel the way our egos feel. Our egos do our egos even feel? I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say, y'all. I'm not cutting this out. I normally cut it out and do a retake, but y'all get the gist of what I was trying to say right there, okay? Like I have it in my notes over here. It's like our egos mask our true feelings. Like the example I gave in the apology. When I said what I said about dude after I lost the competition, it was in the heat of a moment. In my sane right mind, I wouldn't have said that because I know it was so unnecessary. It was just a friendly competition. There was no reason for me to try and cut him down and boost myself up. Another example I can give of how like we need to tell our egos to shut up because it's not actually how we feel whenever our egos do flare up is I'm sure you've had a moment where somebody said something slick to you and it got under your skin. And like me in the heat of the moment with that competition I had, in the heat of the moment, you just say something so foul. Like the second you say it, you're just like, damn, why did I say that? You said it because your ego flared up and it wanted to protect your sense of self in that moment. You felt like you were better that person in that moment, so you wanted to cut them down to lift yourself up. And then when you come down from that flare up, you're like, damn, I wish I didn't say that. Because in reality, we aren't our egos. That's basically what I'm trying to say. I know I'm kind of talking in circles, but that's what I'm trying to say. We are not our egos. Our egos are a part of us, but we aren't our egos. We could tell ourselves that we're something, but in reality, we're just people. That's kind of why I like my like disclaimer. I'm just a guy with an opinion. Because you got a lot of people nowadays, they get online and they're like, can I speak? My goodness. They get online and they tell the world like, oh, I'm this expert. Oh, I'm specialized in this. I'm that. I'm this, that, and the third. And in reality, like, yeah, you can have credentials, but who you are essentially is you. I'm Jay. I'm a guy with an opinion. And having that small but very important distinction, it keeps me grounded. And that's where I hope like you who's listening can start to make that distinction for yourself. And whatever you tell yourself that you are, whether you tell yourself you're an influencer, a creative, a student, a person, whatever it is, always make the distinction that you're just you. That sounds so like cheesy. Like, yeah, of course I'm me. But really think about it. I can't tell you how many times where who I tell myself I am and who I actually am from a moment to moment basis don't line up. And I'm just like, dang, like, who am I for real? And that's where just going back to that simple, I am me. I am Jay. I am fill in the blank. It helps keep you sane with all the like noise we have. The world tells you have to have it all figured out. You have to know exactly who you want to be in the world. And honestly, that can be hard sometimes. So, I thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this episode. To be honest, I feel like today was more of a yap session, but that's cool. Y'all who made it to the end, I appreciate y'all. And from here on out, I'm just going to continue to do my best to be a man of my word, episodes every Sunday. And also do my best to not put myself in a box. You know, that's one thing that I was having trouble with at the start is just how do I want to do the pod? Do I want to be very like to the point? Do I want to do some yapping? And all that overthinking kind of made me forget what the whole purpose of the pod is. Yeah, I'm here to serve y'all and give y'all my best advice that I wish I knew when I was younger. And I'm also here to create a safe space for me to be me, for you to be you eventually when I invite y'all onto the pod. Soon. Hopefully, soon. But yeah, so that's where I'm going to keep experimenting. I hope y'all enjoy the little yap sessions today, though. I sure did. To all of y'all who are watching on YouTube, please leave a like on the video. Sub if you're new, of course. To y'all listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please leave your boy a 5 stars. Don't be listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and you don't leave a 5 stars. Come on. We're trying to get the pod out there. Trying to get more people in the loop, but out the mix with it. You feel me? All right, y'all. That's enough yapping. It's been your boy Jay, spreading his 2 cents, one pod at a time. Until next time, I'm out, cuz.